Welcome back, everybody. We are going to be diving into the official launch trailer of Callisto Protocol. I had a few things going on yesterday, which is why I decided not to totally check this out yet. I had some things that I wanted to get ready for some other videos. Had some Dead Island 2 news that I wanted to share. If you guys want to check that video out, you are free to do so since the game is delayed yet again. But anyway, I'm going to check out the official launch trailer for Callisto Protocol and then probably name off a few key sections from the roundtable of the Docuseries that they also had yesterday, which they go a little more I wouldn't really say like more in depth about each episode, but they kind of give us bits and pieces about some of the most important parts when it comes to the brutality, atmosphere, tension, helplessness, and humanity. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but let's go ahead and check out the official launch trailer and see what we're going to be getting. Any new story, new gameplay? Let's see it. It's the crash landing.
Life sign detected.
Grab him. Hey, what are you doing?
Say I don't need anyone.
What the hell?
But I do.
The robots are like,
Why is it
They killed
Ooh.
everyone. Trying to contain it.
that I choose
Everyone.
all of my nightmares?
dang, I'm feeling emotional already.
You do what you gotta do in here. This place, there's a way of changing you.
That guy looked familiar. He looked like the guy from the original CGI reveal trailer.
There's the world outside.
What the hell? Some bad stuff happened here.
They're coming! Get out of there! Yes, we got our taste of humanity and emotion already.
I know who you are. I know what you did.
Ooh, I think that's a new zombie. We haven't seen that one yet. A new biophage, that is.
Everything's
Ooh.
infected.
To pieces! Ah!
Can't keep running from what you've done. Now let's go finish this.
Okay, you know, really kind of get us tied into the emotional story of the game, if you know what I mean. I mean, that all just feels too emotional and all that. Did we just, like, relaunch it? Okay. Anyway, I like how we really have we're having like a true focus on the story elements in the game to see what happens. And you know, of course, you know, they play this, you know, emotional music to really allow us to, you know, connect even further to these moments. Like we almost feel, you know, for these characters and what they're going through. And it almost kind of just feels like a movie, but it looks like it's going to be just a really nice mix of having just these very inspirational movie segments with the gameplay as well. I mean, when we think about, you know, the episodes in the docuseries where they really took a lot from specific horror icons from the movies like The Thing and Aliens and a few of the movies that Glenn Schofield had really brought his inspiration into. He talked about Martyrs and talked about how some of the scenes were just very brutal and how they really affected him, you know, for a few days. You can really see a lot of that in this. Like it does. It really makes you connect. And I feel like that is almost, it's kind of like the perfect mix when you see the elements of movies being brought together in with like the game and the gameplay. Like it is almost like a great, it's going to be just like a great experience to watch this and play this. Because, you know, sometimes when you have a video game that will give you a very rich and engaging viewing experience. It's almost like you would rather watch it than play it. I will say that Until Dawn was exactly like that, where I have this tendency now to not want to spoil myself when it comes to gameplay and whatnot. Sometimes, again, we got to take that sacrifice, being content creators, previewing this kind of stuff. But I watched almost all of Until Dawn before I actually played it, because it just has such a feeling of you watching a movie. It was just so engaging to watch. And then, when it came down to the character selections, you're like, oh, pick this one and see exactly what happens. And it just makes you feel so involved. And knowing, a game like Callisto is not really going to probably have, choices like that. Who knows? We may have a few here and there, but it really gives that same familiarity when you're watching a movie and you're really diving into the experience and you're really connecting with it so much that it's almost as enjoyable just to watch this. Like, I'll just probably go through and watch a lot of these cutscenes. The cutscenes are going to be all compiled together once, people start finishing the game. And I bet you it's just going to be very entertaining to just watch this. And also, again, it feels even more gratifying to dive into this game and see exactly how the combat's going to be fleshed out, the atmosphere and the tension. So when we think about some of the key points, I think that they reference in the Docuseries Roundtable, they talk about, the apprehension engine. They talk about how, there is no way to play this correctly. The instrumental creator talked about how there's no rules. You just play, you just find out what sounds can kind of make sense for the atmosphere, and that's what makes it kind of unpredictable. We have no idea exactly what kind of sounds we're going to hear during these moments, what kind of music is going to play during the intensity of when the biophages are running at you. And Glenn makes a really nice point when he talks about how there are certain sections in the game where the music completely just like cuts out. So then you're kind of wondering, like, when is the jump scare going to come? He talked about how sometimes the music will cut it out completely to really give you that full feel and full intensity of the jump scare when it comes. And, the thing about jump scares, they talked about how it's not going to be so predictable. There's going to be times where you open a door, for example, and there's going to be a jump scare, and the biophage is going to be there in front of you. But there's going to be also times where they say, well, we're going to tease that. We're going to tease times where we may drop the music. We may want you to expect that there's going to be a jump scare, but then there may not be. We want you to guess that when you come up to, a certain section when the music cuts out, or you come up to a door or a ventilator, we're going to want you to expect there may be a jump scare, but there may not be. And sometimes that really kind of gives you like that reassurance when you come up on something like that. You're expecting it, nothing happens, and you're like, okay, I get a little bit of a break. Then bam, it comes out of nowhere. That is a great way to keep us guessing. It kind of, keeps that anxiety, rolling inside when you are in that moment and going through that experience. One of the other things that they also were touching on were that he wants to bring more of a horror type of sound rather than sci-fi, because this is like a sci-fi type horror, as far as we're years and years into the future, and we see the advancements in technology, and obviously inhabiting these moons on other planets and whatnot. But he wants the sound to be more geared towards horror, because he was making comments about how sci-fi has a tendency to be kind of happy sometimes. One of the other key points that they go back through and reference once more is the brutality in the game, and what kind of things are they allowed to do, what kind of things are they not allowed to do. And Glenn talked about how one aspect that they're actually not allowed to do, and he even mentioned how this is not even allowed in the United States, is the fact that they cannot have a person on fire screaming. So we have seen, zombies in games. We've seen times in games where these types of things, they're on fire. If there's really any kind of moment where like the zombies like screaming or whatnot, not really. They're just like there. They're kind of already totally turned. They don't care whether or not they're on fire or they're missing a leg. It doesn't matter to them. It makes sense when you talk about how brutal it is when someone has to go through that, because it's almost too intense for you to want to have to deal with seeing and witnessing or being somebody in that kind of position. You're still alive, and for you to have to go through the fact of possibly going through a very slow and painful and torturous death is not something anybody really wants to see or anybody really wants to deal with. One of the other things that he also mentioned that they stray away from is including children and the form of brutality when it comes to games like this. So what is pushing the limit, you can say, what could be pushing the limit with this is possibly Dead Space 2. There is a whole scene in Dead Space 2 where Isaac comes up on this room in this daycare, and this baby is crawling up to what you would probably expect to be like one of the remaining teachers. And the baby blows up. And it's just a scene of just terror that just fills you with dread and just fills you with sorrow, just seeing something like that. And there is another segment right after that where you're in this auditorium. You're in like the gymnasium, and you have these babies, the bomb babies, and then you have these weird infected children that are just running at you, just ready to slice an arm off, ready to just take you down. And with the kids in Dead Space 2, about the most that you could do to them is you could take off a leg. I think you could take off an arm, maybe a head, but there was really no other brutality as far as how far you can push when it comes to taking them down. And I think that is probably the limits that we'll reach with games like that, where if they're going to feature kids as an infected type of enemy, you're not going to be able to brutalize them like you would expect, like a regular zombie, where you just, cave the head in, half the head gets cut off, you slice them in half. You're probably never going to be able to see brutality like that, because that's something that just kind of haunts everybody in a way. Nobody wants to experience that. I mean, we even see the dread and tension when it comes to just like watching a film and you see zombie kids, and it always kind of sinks in with everybody, almost the same feeling, like they don't want to go through with this, because why should children have to suffer through things like that? Dying Light has an enemy type as well that is like a child, and Kyle Crane comes into this room, and it plays out like a cinematic moment because it's introducing this zombie to you in this fashion. And the way that this zombie interacts is that it yells, it screams. First off, it's crying. So you're sitting here thinking that it's probably a kid, maybe that hasn't turned just yet. And the child starts screaming when it sees you. And what it does is it's alerting other zombies to your location. It disorients you for a period of time, and your best method to take it down is by suffocating it. You can choose to shoot it, but there's, again, when we talk about the limits of brutality, really it's one shot and they're done. They're out of there. But like one of the main effective methods they show you in the cinematic is that he chooses to suffocate it, and then, you know, it stops crying and it's over, and that's as far as it goes. Another thing that he does talk about that is also, you know, very interesting is how in the brutal nature of things, he doesn't want to have like a lot of cursing. We've seen that in movies before where like the main characters yelling explicitives when the main bad guy is just, you know, teared into one of their friends, and they're just sitting there saying, you know, what I do. It's more about having a character that keeps themselves together rather than breaking apart. You know, a character that has a tendency to, you know, curse a lot when they're really seeing something crazy. You know, you can say that maybe that they're kind of losing it a little bit, versus a character that is witnessing the exact same event, but they're keeping themselves together. It's almost like they're trying to stay professional in a kind of way with how they're dealing with the situation. So I think maybe it can come down to a form of maturity with a type of character that can get through moments like that without, you know, going over the top. And I can see how that makes sense. So I want to take a moment to actually just let's watch through the trailer one more time. Let's get emotional with the characters and with the music. So let's check it out again.
My sign detected.
Grab him. Hey, what are you doing?
Okay, so actually one thing, I guess I didn't really understand at first, like, what the robots' roles are, but it seems like they are probably some type of security protocol for the Black Iron prison. Because you remember in one of the earlier trailers, you see him behind the bars, and it's almost like the security robots have gone rogue. They're just killing people now. And maybe what it is that, and, you know, just kind of guessing here, this could be a sequence in which one of the prisoners is being taken to, you know, get his humanity evolved, if you know what I mean. And, you know, he's not complying, and the robots are like, look, you know, you're either going to come or you're going to die. And, you know, obviously we saw what happened. You know, they did not comply, and the robots decided to go in there and blam, killed off.
Say I don't need anyone,
What the hell?
but I do.
There was an outbreak.
Why is it all
They killed everyone,
misery
trying to contain it.
that I choose?
Everyone.
All of my nightmares.
So, you know, like some of the zombies, like back in, let's go back to that state. Where was that? Yeah, so it really makes you wonder what happened here. Was this like some type of, we can say maybe some type of industrial or nuclear like explosion that like really kind of caramelized them in place? I don't know. Like that's kind of creepy. I think it will be even creepier if we have a moment where, like, if maybe one of these are infected and they break out and they start running at you and stuff. Yeah, that would be great.
That I choose.
Everyone.
All of my nightmares are coming true.
You do what you gotta do in here.
Dark
This place, there's a way of changing you.
my eyes, 'cause the world's outside.
What the hell?
Wow.
Some bad stuff happened here.
Yeah, that actually kind of looked like a scene of betrayal right there.
I know who you are. I know what you did.
And that almost looks like a scene of sacrifice.
This whole prison's infected.
What was that, like adrenaline maybe? Or he was healing himself? Yeah, there's our exploders.
Can't keep running from what you've done.
Now let's go finish this.
The double-headed zombie. They're looking brutal. Yeah, so, just tell me what you guys, are thinking up to this point. When they initially revealed this game and, we're seeing, the beginning stages of it, what were you guys thinking then versus what you're thinking now? Can you really see how interesting that it is playing out? I'm really feeling that when it comes to seeing like how far the game has come now that we've gotten to see, plenty of gameplay. We've gotten to see, the story. We've gotten to hear how they're bringing all of the different elements together to really put things into perspective. I can't wait to get this game in my hands and try it out for myself. And we only have just a few weeks left, before the game is going to be officially ready for launch. So, let me know what console too that you guys are going to decide to get this for. Are you going to get this for PC, PlayStation 5? I believe it also is on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Series X. Let me know what console, what PC you're going to be experiencing this on. So I hope that you guys enjoyed my breakdown and analysis of the launch trailer and also bringing you some key points about what Glenn Schofield and the team were talking about in the roundtable, discussing their, you can say, kind of like their closing thoughts and whatnot about how they've brought everything together. So if you guys appreciated it and you want to see more, just make sure to stay connected to the channel, because I am gonna be down for bringing you gameplay as soon as I can when this game does release. And if you guys enjoyed the commentary as I broke everything down as much as I could while reacting to it, make sure to put a like on the video, because it does help with the engagement. I'm hoping to hit a specific like goal, for my videos going forward. If I could get 5 likes on this video, guys, I would appreciate it. It would definitely make me feel accomplished in my journey to continue to create content for you guys. So I very much appreciate it of it as is, and I will bring you guys the next video when it is time to go for it. So my name is Devin, and I will check in with you guys when the next one's ready to go.